G'day everyone, Turbo Tristan here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are showing you the updates on Ronda the race car. There's updates in the front, updates in the back, and updates inside. Stick around, I'll show you what all of those are. It's pretty exciting. Yes, we're still sticking to a budget, but we are making this a full-on race car now. Welcome back. So since last time there's been quite a few changes here in Ronda. The last thing you would have seen is we had some really weird issues electrically. The battery wasn't getting power to the engine to crank it over. We ended up jumping the car from the fuse box in the engine bay, or the relay box, which worked, got us out of trouble. The alternator kept the engine running. It's making all the volts, so the car would still run perfectly fine. However, we did come and find the issue, and it turns out the battery terminal on the negative side had come loose. So we fixed that up. Car's now perfect. Really simple issue. A couple of other things that we've changed is I've moved the stability and traction control button here to the top of the dash. It was down there. We've cut all that away, and we've just ran the cable up here, and I've just drilled that out, and now we've got traction on and off. I've cut away more weight and trimmed up the door cards. I would love to get rid of them totally, but we kind of need all of these controls. Same on the other side. Chris decided to paint it grey for whatever reason, and we've also lost a lot more crap up under the dash, including the airbag is now gone from under there, and all of the ducting and stuff on that side. Speakers are out. We actually have been running around with the speakers in here, and the speaker was still left in this door, so extra weight is now gone. I've still got to work out a mount for the GoPro. There are some bolts here, so I could make a little bracket and drop that down about shoulder level and use a GoPro mount or something on there, just a bit of alloy maybe, or I don't know what I'm going to use, some cheap eBay bracket or something for a GoPro, and that should work fine. Chris has also been hard at work scuffing up the floor, getting rid of all the excess sound deadening we didn't get off because we chipped it off instead of using dry ice, which is what we should have done. So Ronda's been on a big diet on the inside of the car, but the exciting fun stuff and more race car stuff is outside the car. So the first major change, and the most obvious one for anyone within a 100-meter radius, is the new GT spoiler that we've put on Ronda. Now this spoiler looks really fancy, and I know what you're thinking, this doesn't look like a budget race car. This spoiler actually cost $100 delivered from Amazon, so shout out to John for finding that one. That went straight on Ronda. It had these really lame-o looking end plates on there. So what I did is I went to RACEWORKS and grabbed a sheet of 3 or 4 mil, I think it's 3 mil carbon fiber, which is proper, legit carbon fiber sheeting. It's in about a 600 square sheet, I'm pretty sure. What I did is I just made up my own design with cardboard and then cut it out. To make sure they're identical, I actually pre-drilled the holes, bolted them together, and used my 4-inch grinder and got all the profiles to match up just by having them clamped together. They're not going to move. They will be exactly the same. So just flap disc on the grinder, grind over the edges, make all the radiuses the same, and just make it even. So that worked out perfectly. As you can see here, you can actually grab hold of the spoiler and anywhere, even on the carbon fiber plates, and shake the entire car. It's really strong. We were thinking we'd have to bolt this into the floor of the boot because of the downforce and everything, and just the additional flex, but a few washers in the boot, a few washers under the underside of the boot, and just use the bolts and brackets that it came with. $100 spoiler, highly recommend. Now the next thing that looks really cool and is starting to get necessary now, just to keep the engine alive as long as possible, it is 100% stock standard unopened, is an oil cooler. Now I know what you're thinking again, this is not budget. However, that oil cooler cost me, I think, $30 or $40 delivered from eBay, and The power steering cooler in front of it was about $25 or $30 as well, delivered from eBay, and it was by sheer fluke. They're actually exactly the same size, so we decided to compound mount them. And I used a little bit of extra leftover carbon fiber. And the other really important thing, we actually fixed a power steering leak, and at the same time, we have gone with a power steering cooler. Now the factory one was just a wire or a tube that just went like that, looped back. This one loops back and forth several times, plus it's got the heat dissipating fins there, which will help us keep our power steering oil cooler. That's very, very important on a race car. You'd be surprised how hot that gets. And to complement the power steering cooler, we also have a RACEWORKS remote oil filter relocator, dash 10 lines, and we have a temperature sensor in there as well, also from RACEWORKS. And I've put some heat sheathing on all of the hot side. We've packaged these together because we don't actually want super duper freezing cold oil. This one will actually warm up this one, and the fins on this will dissipate heat really, really quick. They're nice and open. You can see right through that, so the air's going to go straight through there anyway and get onto the oil cooler. This is, I think, a 10-row oil cooler. We're using our sexy crimp tool, which I used in the last video with the VL. Runs back in over the top here and straight back down into the engine. We've ran it, everything's cool, there's no leaks. We're now holding an extra probably 300 ml of oil, maybe a little bit more, which is good because more oil circulating through means it's gonna cool down quicker and have more available for the pump, so it's not going to starve. And again, we've got the heat sheathing so that it doesn't rub on anything. And one other thing we did is we got some T7 design block off plugs down in there. It's very tricky to see. You can just see the black block off plug and the stainless steel hardware that's there, nice and sweet. You might be able to get a better look at that from underneath the car. So we'll take it up a bit higher, show you more about what we were doing. Alrighty, so we're up under the car now, and this is just above the drive shaft. We can see the piece to resistance is the T7 design oil filter relocator kit. Now we've got the dash 7 lines on there. We've also got a RACEWORKS oil pressure sensor. So we're going to be monitoring the oil pressure. Now you're probably thinking you want to monitor it in the heat and also the temperature in a different spot where it's right near the engine. But we had the port here. Yes, we could have swapped to another port over there, but this will give us an average at the track. It's right in the middle. It's between hot and cold. So this will give us an average temperature. Obviously the hot oil's coming in and then it's coming out and getting cooled and going back in the engine. Over time, this will sort of average out. It'll read slightly on the higher side because as it's coming out of the engine. Better than nothing, and that's what we're gonna do. So you can see here also, we've got the dash 10 fittings just going up. They're not anywhere near any of the belts. So that's awesome. And we replaced the power steering line. There still appears to be some leakage there, which is weird. Hopefully it's not coming from anywhere else. We've got to figure out why there is oil back here. That's a problem for another day. So if you're wanting to know more about the T7 design oil filter relocator or the relocation kit that we used here from RACEWORKS, I did another video a couple of weeks back. I used this engine in the thumbnail and it was fitting up a bunch of new and exciting parts for K-Series. I'll chuck in a little snippet of that now so you can see roughly the gist of it, but if you want the full in-depth tutorial, check out that video. Okay, so the next problem we had at the racetrack, and we didn't really know what it was or why or how, but we actually broke our clutch pedal. Now, this is a very, very common problem with all manual CL9s. I'll drop in some photos and you can see there was here, 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 and here. was all broken. Also, here's a picture of it all complete before we put it back in. And here it is all fully installed. Now we are braced on both sides, front, back, top, bottom, all the way around. I gave it a lick of black paint. Not that it really matters, and I just realized I missed a spot just there. We've also put in another brand new clutch master cylinder because I tried a couple of different ways to make it easier to fit and remove the old one, but I ended up butchering it, so we had to do a new one. So that's in there now, all brand new, all from PROTEX, of course. So that's another thing done. And I've cut out all this crap we don't need here. Taken out some of these stupid little motors and plastic crap that's all around here. And I actually removed all the wiring for the airbags, the airbag control module. Hopefully we can get some scales again and check what Rhonda's weight is now. But she's definitely gone on a bit of a massive diet since then. Yeah, I've taken out, that I know of, at least, well, the seat we took out 20 kilos and we put the RACEWORKS one in, so that's much lighter. All the other stuff we've chopped away, the floor, all the aircon stuff, all of the airbag stuff, extra speakers. There's like 3 or 4 speakers we pulled out, more sound deadening, heaps of crap we didn't need in the engine bay, heaps of stuff is now missing. So she's definitely gotten a lot lighter. Hopefully another 100 kilos or thereabouts would be good. One other thing, you guys will see that I run Chicane tools. All of my tools are Chicane brand. They've served me really, really well for the last 2, nearly 3 years. I've got the big Chicane toolbox over there, which takes an absolute beating. And one tool I picked up, which is handy for the racetrack, or really just for any car, is the new Chicane digital diagnostic scan tool. Code reader, tester, this one does everything. I tried it out already. You plug it straight into the OBD on the dash, and you can read everything in live time, clear all the codes, anything you need to do. It is really awesome. From Chicane, I'll plug it in now so you guys can see what it looks like. All right, so this is a bit less than ideal, holding it with one hand and filming with the other hand, but we've got our OBD port there. On every new car after 2000, they're up under the dash, so really easy to get to. This one, you can check your functions on the OBD, battery voltage setup, review, look up different things. So we can go into that. It's just like up, down, left, right, enter. So entering the system, awesome color display. So that's really excellent as well. And we can go through and check all these different sensors here. We can go and read codes, erase codes. We can stream data, which is a good thing. So you can actually go down here to the data stream and select a few different things to watch. So you could do coolant, temp, you could do your VCT, you could do your air fuel ratio, and go through, and it'll actually display them on the screen for you in live time. So we'll do coolant temp, fuel trim, engine RPM. So we'll just go back, throttle position, distance traveled. So I've got those on. We'll go back out of that. So it's telling the temperature and coolant there, and it's going up or down. Sorry for the glare. LCD screens don't like to come up on these for some reason. But trust me, this is very vibrant and very bright. Check and test everything. So we're going to take this to the racetrack with us every time, and also check out any other future cars. We can do scans on all of the cars that we have in the fleet and future cars coming up. One more item I'm very proud to announce will soon be available, which is a RACEWORKS fuel rail to suit K-Series Hondas. Now we've just trial fitted this one on our dummy engine, and it's going to go over there on Rhonda. I've already removed the injectors and taken off the fuel rail, and I've put on the RACEWORKS -6 adapter down there. This kit comes with all of the stuff you'll need, all the different size hose adapters up to -8, -6, and the nice billet spacers, and standoffs, everything you're going to need, all nice stainless hardware, nuts and bolts, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to get this onto there, and we'll be using the new injectors which are already in Ronda, so we'll just be transferring those onto this rail straight in the car. Now this is something that serves as a performance gain if you are running a turbo setup or a standalone management setup, or if you're running the K series in a car that it doesn't come out with, because these have a deadhead system, which means it just fills up the fuel rail and then it uses all the fuel, and then when the car turns off, the pressure releases and drains back into the tank. There's no fuel pressure regulator or return needed for a standard K series. Ronda is a standard K series, so she doesn't need that. But we've got the center feed, we've got the dual intake feed, center exit, whichever way you want to run it, and you've also got the different size standoffs for different length injectors as well. So that is a really, really awesome unit. We're just going to run the standard -6 to 5/16 lines, which is what is standard. I've already got one side sorted, and I've already put the quick connector fitting from RACEWORKS on there. That literally just clicks on in a second, and then we'll remove this one and put on the new RACEWORKS guy. Well, that was easy. The fuel rail is fitted up and looks amazing on Ronda. In future, when the full production models come out and you guys get a chance to buy these, they will be available on the spoolup.com.au website, but they'll also have the quick connect fitting on this end. So you don't need to make this hose here if you don't need to. You can just run the factory hose, which is this one here, and just plug it straight into the side of the rail really simply. But it's just 2 extra fittings and this guy here, and you've got it done anyway. I tested it, there's no leaks. I pressurized everything, started the car, it ran, gave it a few blips. There's no vacuum leaks, there's no leaks of any kind. It is a perfect product for Ronda. So we now have all of the fuel rail there supplied by RACEWORKS. So thanks again to RACEWORKS, major sponsor for Ronda. All the gear is on the spoolup.com.au website. We couldn't be doing this without them, so thank you so much. We're actually getting called the RACEWORKS car the first couple of times we went out because we had really big stickers up the side of the car. So I guess she is a RACEWORKS car. Now it's just time to put everything back together. I'm going to put the front bumper back on, do all the clips up. We're going to try and get the gauges on for the oil temp and oil pressure, hopefully by the time we race next. No holding back, no holds barred. It's going to be full-on time attack mode for Ronda at the next one. We don't have to stick to any projected times, so let's see what she can do. Let's go for sub 130s. That's a pretty darn quick car, and I'm also going to take my Civic and see if it can beat Ronda's time. Obviously power-wise, yes, but trying to pull up, stop, turn, understeer, all that stuff with about double and a bit, maybe double and a half the power of Ronda. So we'll see which one's quicker at the track next time we're out. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to spool up, bring the boost. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.